Hey, what is up? So for this video, I want to talk about the cold opening scene that was revealed to us in the season 6 premiere of Better Call Saul entitled Wine and Roses. So anyway, getting right into it. This scene, unlike all of the previous scenes of Gene Takovic that started out the first 5 seasons of Better Call Saul, this scene here presented us a full color scene of what was revealed to us to be none other than Saul Goodman's house being repossessed following him fleeing Albuquerque from Omaha, Nebraska. And it's pretty clear here that this is likely the result of a sort of RICO repossession, where following it being revealed of Walter White's criminal activity and most likely Saul Goodman's direct association to it, this then led to the feds repossessing all of Saul Goodman's valuable possessions. Now, of course, leading into this season of Better Call Saul, we knew that we never saw Saul Goodman home alone in the plot of Breaking Bad, and we were likely going to see Saul Goodman's home for the first time in the plot of Better Call Saul. But to tell you the truth, this was absolutely not what I expected at all when I was thinking about what Saul Goodman's house would look like in the plot of Better Call Saul. Because as we could see in this cold opening scene of this episode, Saul Goodman lives in an absolutely opulent, high-end, Venetian-style mansion, unbelievably ornate with absolute decorative, intricate designs, this gold trim everywhere, even appearing to have a solid gold toilet here, just unbelievable. So we definitely can see that, despite the fact that Jimmy McGill has not fully embraced the Saul Goodman persona as of the conclusion of the second episode of Season 6 of Better Call Saul, he will without a doubt eventually go down this path to not only assuming this sort of persona we saw in the plot of Breaking Bad, but also going a step further in living in this sort of, for lack of a better term, Scarface-style mansion, and really embracing this sort of criminal lawyer persona that we saw in the plot of Breaking Bad. Again, pretty amazing scene here. So many Easter egg callbacks to the plot of Better Call Saul. For example, we definitely saw the running shoes involved in the storyline with Mrs. Landry in Season 3 of Better Call Saul entitled Lantern in Saul Goodman's closet. We saw the hat he wore in the episode entitled Off Brand as part of the commercials he was shooting when he was suspended from practicing the law for a year. We saw the guitar he got as well when he scammed the music store in the episode entitled Expenses as part of that storyline as well. We saw the stress balls he had when he worked at CC Mobile in Season 4 of Better Call Saul. We saw the photo of the cowboy on the horse that was used for the Mesa Verde logo, which he had in Season 5 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Wexler v. Goodman. In this scene, we can also see a shot of what appears to be all of the tracksuits that Saul Goodman infamously wore over the course of Better Call Saul, as well as the plot of Breaking Bad. We also saw a shot of his white Cadillac being repossessed as well. We even saw a painting in this scene of what was revealed to be a painting we first saw in the episode entitled Smoke in Season 4 of Better Call Saul in Kim's apartment, which Saul Goodman now has in this home. And this thus brings up the grand question here of, even though we know that this was Saul Goodman's home in the plot of Breaking Bad, the question that remains is, did Kim Wexler ever live with Saul Goodman in this home? That is the $10 million question here, and probably apt based on the sort of opulence of Saul Goodman's house for sure. But again, that's the question here. And of course, as we can see by the very last scene in this cold opening of Season 6, we see following the repossessors loading up a dresser onto a truck. It's then revealed to us that this sort of memento, this little thing with no actual value and only containing sentimental value, the top of the Zafiro Añejo bottle, which Kim and Jimmy got when they scammed Ken in the first episode of Season 2 of Better Call Saul entitled Switch, the same top of the Zafiro Añejo bottle which Kim took with her, the only memento she took with her when she left Schweigart and Coakley at the end of Season 5 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Bad Choice Road. So again, while we don't know if Kim ever lived in this house, we definitely know that a lot of the mementos that Saul Goodman had from when he was in a relationship with Kim Wexler, he still kept with him while living in this unbelievably opulent house. That being said, it has also been confirmed that the octagonal desk that we first saw in Season 2 of Breaking Bad in Saul Goodman's office in the episode entitled Better Call Saul, that we first saw in Season 3 of Better Call Saul in the episode entitled Witness. Again, it's definitely revealed to us that despite the fact that Kim Wexler was not in Saul Goodman's life, at least on screen in the plot of Breaking Bad, that she still had an enormous impact on him. And this part of his life that he shared with Kim Wexler continued to stay with Saul Goodman, even following the likely termination of this relationship in the plot of Better Call Saul. Which I think is just even further emphasized by the fact that this opening scene featured the song "The Day of Wine and Roses" by Andy Williams, which I talked about in a previous video, which I will link in the description, that I really feel is truly an allegory for the demise of this relationship between Jimmy and Kim in season 6 of Better Call Saul. So yeah, pretty amazing opening scene here to say the least. It definitely exceeded my expectations for sure. You know, of course, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of the backstory surrounding why Saul Goodman bought a house like this. I definitely think it has something to do with his full embrace of this Saul Goodman persona. And in respect to this full embrace of this Saul Goodman persona that this house sort of exemplifies, another interesting part of the scene is that we actually saw some pill bottles for prescription drugs with the name Saul Goodman on them in Saul Goodman's bathroom during the repossession of all of his personal belongings. And again, I'm not really sure how this works, but I'm pretty sure you only can get your legal name on these pill bottles and not the name you practice the law under. So I do wonder if Jimmy McGill is going to legally change his name to Saul Goodman, not just his legal name, which he practices the law under here. So I'm kind of curious if this is sort of revealing that to us here in this scene. This house also raises the question to me of how much money did Saul Goodman have? How much money did he make over the course of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, especially his time with Walter White? I'm definitely planning on making a full video surrounding how much money Saul Goodman is worth based on the backstory of Breaking Bad. But again, just after looking at this house and just looking at all of the opulence here and all of the possessions that Saul Goodman had, he definitely had a ton of money. And it's quite the juxtaposition compared to someone like Walter White, who probably had even more money than Saul Goodman as a result of his meth empire. Yet Walter White lived in a very modest single-family home. This was, of course, done because Walter White didn't want to draw very much attention to himself in respect to his criminal behavior. Yet, this is the exact opposite with Saul Goodman, who, despite the fact that he was well known, at least in the Albuquerque criminal underworld, as being a quote-unquote criminal lawyer, according to Jesse Pinkman, he still nonetheless decided to basically live in the sort of neon light blinking sign that said, "I facilitate drug dealers," to sort of paraphrase Mike Ehrmantraut when talking about Price's car. And also like Price showing absolutely no restraint when buying a house of this nature, despite the fact he is earning all of this money via very illicit means. That being said, in respect to this sort of criminality that Saul Goodman will undertake in order to afford a house like this, it should also be noted that in this house we also saw this hidden room behind the mirror in his closet. We can see that in this scene, a bunch of bulletproof vests are taken out of this closet. Again, we couldn't really see what else was in here, so Saul definitely had some, more criminal high protective measures in this house as well. So again, definitely looking forward to seeing the backstory of this house revealed to us in the plots of Better Call Saul this season. We also saw a notebook here that the repossessors were looking through. We couldn't really see what was written on it. Again, wonder if this will play into the storyline as well. And again, the big picture takeaway I get from this scene is that it's pretty amazing now to see the contrast of where Gene Takovic is living in a very modest, apartment in Omaha, Nebraska, compared to where Saul Goodman lived, the same character in Albuquerque, New Mexico, when he was this criminal lawyer in the plot of Breaking Bad, with his face plastered all over bus benches and billboards all over Albuquerque. So again, pretty amazing contrast here, and we can definitely now understand why in season 1 of Better Call Saul, in the episode entitled Uno, we saw Gene Takovic reveling in this past of his life, watching these old Saul Goodman commercials, which was really probably the best time of his life. And I do wonder how this scene could factor into the Gene Takovic scenes that will be displayed to us over the course of this season as well. Just when thinking about just the contrast of where Saul Goodman used to live compared to where Gene Takovic lives now. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, this cold opening scene absolutely blew by my expectations of what we were going to see following it being revealed to us that we weren't going to see a scene of Gene Takovic in Omaha, Nebraska. That being said, looking forward to making many more videos about the storyline that we've seen so far in the first 2 episodes of Better Call Saul. And as always, my name is Anton Jackson. Thank you again so much for watching this video.